icebreaker. And now in conclusion, great job. And I wanted to point out, as we're instructed to do in the evaluation instructions, I'm so excited and encouraged by a lot of the really strong basic skills you have coming into Toastmasters. Example is the use of your humor, smile, also your great use of body language right out the gate, where you got out and you started telling us a story and you captured our imaginations and you drew the line and draw us in. And I was just visualizing this story from your childhood and with your dad having you race and thinking about races of my own when I was a child. No notes. So, and also I think coming right out of the gate, you have a really natural, just conversational storytelling style. And I really want to, I think that's one of your most notable strengths and something I really want you to focus on developing here in Toastmasters. So I think that's your real strength, the way that you're able to just connect with that raw personal side of you and tell that emotional story that draws in that emotional connection and that inspiration. And, but something to kind of piggyback off of that and something maybe to think about for the future is I think the icebreaker is a really tough speech to, even though it's your first speech, it's tough because how do you cram your whole life story into 5 or 7 minutes? So I think you have a number of I'm excited because I think you have a number of really great speeches within this one speech. And I want to challenge you for the next time to focus down on just one thing you wanted to tell us and wrap us in. So I think, for example, for a good example, I think you have a great story in here about lessons that you had learned from your father. I think you have a speech in here about some great career lessons that you've encountered along the way. And I think you also have a great story in here about personal life lessons from having early. So there's a lot of the tip of the iceberg, a lot of emotional, personal, inspirational stories, and I can't wait for you to share more with the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Let's welcome up Jeff, who will be evaluating Charlotte's speech.
Charlotte, that was very well done, the second speech in the Entertaining Speakers Manual. The first question that they asked in the manual evaluation is, what indicated your audience was entertained? Well, they were really, I've watched the eyes around here and everyone was really caught up with you and the stories that you tell, there were laughs. You really did well at that. It was an entertaining and informative speech with lots of good information. What was the theme of the speech? It's in the title, The Wild Blue Yonder. And the pink, wild pink yonder. That was a horrible mistake, but that was the theme, the pink. And you did it well. And one thing is your props were so good. It was a good example of props where they weren't PowerPoint props with all this point 1, point 2. There were a background to the points that she was getting across. And that's just a super way to use, to add to your talk. So we got to know who that person was by looking at them, and you didn't have to say anything. So it complemented your talk that way. They'd ask how comfortable you were in telling these stories. There was other stories that other people told, and you did it very well. In fact, when I was thinking of it, when I was listening to you, I thought, this could be a voiceover for these slides. It was very well done. And then your quotes. One of the things, you knew the quotes by heart, and that is so much more powerful than if you read them. So you did it so well. It was well rehearsed. It says your body language. I really didn't pay much attention. That was super. It certainly didn't detract. Probably other people followed it closely. It wasn't a thing that I marked down to watch closely. So you need to ask some other people about that and your vocal variety. It was very well done. Nothing detracted from your message. Things to do. At the beginning, you said something like, I'm going to tell you and this and that. And that's sort of taking literally the thing, tell them what you want to tell them, and
Yeah.
then tell them. And so when you're doing storytelling, there's ways that you can do that, so in 1 or 2 sentences, you can get the same point across without having to say that. And just be a bit more subtle about it and smooth. So that's just adding to your professional credentials, because you are a super speaker. At the ending, you sort of said to your ending, and then you were walking off. And you need to stand there and enjoy it, enjoy the applause, and let it all settle. Props, it would be better if they're on the table, a small thing, but you had to go walk over here and bend down and pick up the props, and you were off stage for a while, and we didn't know. I thought it was the end of your speech. So they need to be there. And there's a couple other things I can update you on, because I am out of time.